The Colosseum here is a brutally hard map in Orcs Must Die campaign, but if you know what is coming, then you will be able to prepare and hopefully succeed with full or close to full rift points. First, let's go over our loadout. I am using the magical longbow, and then we have the tar trap, flip trap, the barricade, archers, snow cannon, saw launcher, ripsaw, and window of butterflies. And as an amulet, I am bringing the regeneration amulet. We can see that there is a huge selection of different enemy types, and a lot of them here are immune to fire, especially all of the enemies that are going to be coming out of the basement down here, but they are susceptible to ice. So on the ripsaw, we have it set to deal ice damage, and then the other traps, I've pretty much given whatever upgrades I am able to afford and bringing the snow cannon for a little bit of extra ice damage. Wave 1 has the orcs coming out of only this one door, so we're going to set up what trap configuration that is going to be a pretty common death trap for us. Able to use the tar to slow the orcs down as they pass through the saws, and then right now, because we have the extra cash, we're going to throw out the rip saws as well, and we will mow through this first wave. We'll pick up that ripsaw here to prepare for wave 2, where our focus is really going to be down here in the basement. Even though that previous door is technically still active, they only send a couple archers out of it in this wave, so we're free to spend all of our focus down here. This position right here is a brilliant place to be able to put down the archers. The only downside there is that there are going to be a number of waves that will run directly into each other later on, and archers do not respawn between those waves that go directly into each other. So you either need to be prepared to try and defend them, or not invest too heavily into them as your main defenses. They are really nice for being able to pick off any of the really speedy runners who happen to get past you, though. For some reason, archers always get caught off in this pocket over here because they think that they have a shot on your archers, but it gets caught up on this little stumpy wall here. Wave 3, and everything is happening down in the basement, so we're actually going to pull these set of traps away from this door and then reestablish downstairs. Now we can actually begin setting up our barricades to kind of maximize the distance that the orcs have to travel for us. So we want a barricade here to be able to keep them from going straight up the stairs and then around here. So they're forced to do this full loop. And then we are able to lay down a whole lot of ripsaws as kind of the primary defenses of the rift over here once they make it around. And all of the enemies are going to be forced to go down this corridor right in front of us. These next couple waves are going to run directly into each other, and they're starting to bring back these other doors as well. So we are going to reestablish the defenses that we had around their entrances. We are not at this time able to swing our defenses around to be able to provide the tar traps, which we do really want. They're very important, but as we make money throughout these waves, we'll be able to incorporate them back into our defenses. Now with our brief reprieve, we are going to try and set up our tar traps here, be able to have them in functioning order, and you can make this configuration even stronger by putting a butterfly window off to the side there to be able to distract the orcs. Orcs love butterflies. It is just a well-known fact. Now on this wave, the orcs are going to be coming from every single door. I have the reprieve to be able to put in the window of butterflies on that one. A little foolish of me to rush so quickly into all of the bomb-bearing enemies, but we didn't even lose any rift points. So now we have our full line of archers up here, which is pretty strong. We don't really want to invest any more than that, but having those guys there is going to be really nice. It is actually a challenge for you if you put too much damage down here for the enemies coming out of the basement, because they have so many of the fire elementals that when they break open spawn the little fire rifts, and those guys are going to bum rush right into your barricades, and if they pop your barricades, then you're going to be in trouble. So actually having weaker defenses down there to draw out the unbroken fire elementals into this area where they can be destroyed without risk of destroying your barricades is to your advantage. We have the grinders there set in the floor, so these flip traps can do some pretty hilarious things. But putting them all the way over here on this side will usually send the orcs off just to the side of the grinders and only delay things, so it's not as effective. So we're just going to kind of build this setup and then continue with the ripsaws bending around this portion of the map. These final waves are all going to run straight into each other, so you want to defend your archers as much as you possibly can, be able to keep them alive so that you still have a few when that final wave comes around. Nothing is more disappointing than when you've invested a lot of money into those defenses, and then when you need them most, they have already been cleared out by a grenade archer or something like that. With our next break here, we're just going to keep on running ripsaws all around, and any further money we get will probably be invested in putting even more saws down here on the home stretch, because that is the overlap where all of the orcs, no matter what door they come from, are going to have to go through. But in the meantime, we're also just kind of checking our doors for any candy that the orcs may have dropped. They usually have some form of goodies that they leave for us. The final wave is incoming. We are in great shape here. I just want to plop down one more set of butterflies to help thin out the waves right as they come out there. And now we basically camp. But we also want to make sure that we defend our barricades and that we keep just a little bit in the bank to be able to rebuild one of the barricades should the worst case scenario happen and the orcs actually destroy one of the barricades right around our rift, so that they have particularly one of these. These are already damaged, you see, because as the waves run directly into each other, the barricades also do not get their health back. So they're already damaged, liable to fall over, and so we want to be able to replace them as soon as that should happen. Probably the best thing that you could do, if you have the presence of mind to do it, is to sell those barricades and rebuild on the 10-second breaks so that they are full health, and then move around and buff up your forces while the enemies are still like actually coming and attacking you. But here it looks like we have done pretty well for ourselves. These are just the very last few enemies, and they have no chance of making it to the rift. Cheers, guys, and I hope that you are also able to conquer the Colosseum with full rift points.